Hey there, hope you guys are doing fine. I'm doing better again because I have been sick. Now my throat ain't 100% just yet, so I'm going to do my best for this episode. And for this episode we are going to work on to the steel factory right down here. Now I have not been sitting still. I have also been doing some off-camera work. You guys might appreciate what I've been doing, but more about that in a second. I got a couple of comments, and the first one is of Safaricon. He says the work in progress items that you find strewn across the land will stay like that until 1.0 release. They are placeholders for items that will be included into the story part of the game and will be kept secret until the final release, so they won't spoil any story elements. JD says, great video JB, keep your eyes open when you're out there. You don't want to run into a radiation zone. It can kill really fast without radiation protecting gear. Zolek says, I would recommend that you should place a marker with all the items needed on a crash site that need items that you haven't unlocked yet. It can really help to find your crash site again after you progress it to the next phase. Also, the hard drives will only give you the recipes that you have unlocked. When you start running out of recipes, the game will give you 2 extra recipes that will give you extra inventory slots. After that, the game will tell you that you're out of recipes and will give you your hard drive back. And the Mr. Monk is saying, love the video, keep it up. Thank you guys a lot for the handy tips, tricks and kind words. I really appreciate that. I really like to read them. I really like to answer them, and they're very important for the channel. So if you would like to comment something and you don't really know what to comment, you can always drop down an emoji. Alright, now that's out of the way. Let me quickly show you what I've been doing off camera. As you can see right down there, I've been demolishing the whole old factory right down there for a very simple reason. The only assembly line that was still up and running to say was the copper sheet and or the quartz, but the containers were already all the way filled up, so everything was getting sent to the sink. And then I just decided, you know, I was sick, I wanted to do something fun with this game. Let's just demolish the whole show, and then yeah, then we can just continue working on to the future project rather than doing a little bit by bit. Also, as you can see right down there, there is a whole new building. Now let me just quickly show you what that is all about. Whew, was I just lucky? Man, that was scary for a second. Okay, so this factory right down here is actually the limestone / concrete factory. And I have 3 limestone veins connected up into the factory. So we have that one over there. I made these conveyor belts go over the street all the way over there, which in this case it's connecting up to a merger, because behind this wall there is another vein, and there is another vein down there which will be connected up on the inside after this stuff has gone in there. Now the reason why it looks like the way it looks is because of course the terrain is here like higher, and yeah, I just needed to make something nice out of it. At first I was like, oh no, the road will look weird, but then I just made this whole structure type of deal and it kind of looks nice. I like, you know, having reasons to make things look different, which is very good in the end. In here, very simple, we have this guy right down here, brings all the stuff up over. Oh man, those sparks. I just thought for a second something was wrong. Most of the stuff down here is just a static view. You know, all these barriers, these containers here don't mean anything. And then here in the back, oh, I just decided to keep it like this, like a bit of a parking spot. On this side there will be a building that will be, you know, close up to the sidewalk. Just wanted to make it look a little bit different. Now down here though, I'm going to keep it as it is, because once update 8 will drop, all the foliage will grow back. I need to keep in mind there will be a plant spawning there. Now of course the biggest challenge was actually like, how am I going to connect certain new items or resources into this building? Since I basically close everything off on the side with roads and sidewalks and that good stuff. Yeah, the concrete is taking the upper and then goes one lower, so I still have one left for whatever. Then I have it coming down here, and then I was like, okay, what is the plan? Right? I first wanted to go up, and then I was like, yeah, then I go down again. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Let's just straight away connect it up here. Let's just do it like that. Right? And as you can see, I have 4 windows there for those 4 containers down here. Now, of course, I have still one left around in this area. Just ignore those 2 containers. I had to drop off a lot of stuff that goes in there to the sink. But there is one spot left out here, which is that guy. There we go, that's a lot better. And what I think I will end up doing is going to have reinforced plating in this guy. So there is like one spot left to go in there because the concrete had to go all the way around and then come into this. I was like, nah, let's just drop the concrete on that side. It will be now along with normal wire, copper wire and copper sheet, I guess, right down in here. Okay, also, as you can see on the right top, I completed one of the 3 objectives because I had this assembly line and, you know, the container was full. Then I connected another container up to it. I had like this guy. It's still, you know, there is still a lot of these in there. And I even believe this guy here, you know, still filled up. So I thought, let's just drop a couple of these guys into, you know, space elevator already. Now down here, I've been doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that in order to, you know, progress for today. Going to be very simple. I had a couple of thoughts about how am I going to do things, right? Yeah, let me just first go to the factory. So first of all, we need to make motors. For what I need motors, I have no idea just yet. Probably at some point I'm going to need these motors for something. The last time we created the whole stator assembly line on the other side. And I figured out I'm going to need to have another stator assembly line because one of the items on top is going to need to have stators. I'm just going to drop this guy out here, so there will be another something down here, I guess. Yeah, this guy is also going to have stators, and these stators will be produced in the same spot as what we have right now. Yeah, but I don't want to look at this for now. Also, I have been learning 2 tricks from his YouTube channel. Name is Total X Clips. Probably a lot of you guys just know him. He released like a video with 30 tips and tricks. And I wanted to show 2 of these, you know, and then if you want to see anything else, there will be a link in the description to his channel, to the video right away. But I thought the first thing that was very handy is if you go to the options and then go to the interface, you have like when you place a new item, right, it will show blue. And if you have it like this, you don't see the red arrow anymore, right? If I do like this, you see the red arrow. If you do it like this, you don't see it. It's very troublesome sometimes, even though, you know, if you know the arrow in the back will be the entrance, it can still be confusing. So he was showing that if you go to the interface and, for example, make it on white or grayish, I'm just going to test white. You can now clearly see the red arrow on the back, which is just super duper handy. So that is one of the 30 things. And there's also something that I didn't know, that if you would just lock to something and press your middle mouse button, let's see if it works. You can just right away copy that, which is just freaking handy. You don't have to go into this and select stuff. Ah, super handy. So yeah, those are 2 of the 30 tips. If you want to see them all, check out the description video of Total X Clips. Alright, so with that being out of the way, it is time to continue with my stuff down here. So I believe I'm going to have 50 rods and 250 screws, which will be, you know, one for this machine, one for the other one for this, one for the other one. So I can make a total of 10 rotors per minute, so we can start making motors. Now, first I was like, oh, let's just build the stuff out here. And then I was like, but wait a minute, I made these beautiful factories which I can just expand, where I can just make all that good stuff, right? So I've been doing a little bit of preparation work. So first of all, I made some extra holes in there, which still have the wrong material. Which, if I would do that, what the hell happened there? Oh, it just clips through, so it doesn't work like that. So anyways, I have here a miner Mark II. Yeah, this guy. So by default, it does 120 resources instead of 60. Now I was already using 120 for all of the rods, plates and screws that I'm making right now. So in this case, I just double it up to 240. Now the thing is though, I don't even know how much I need in order to make 50 extra rods, 250 screws, right? So I will have to start start at the end and calculate everything back. So I know in the end how much I really need. You just need to keep in mind, which I'm going to put on my WordPad right now. 120 is already being used. Okay, so how am I going to connect this stuff up? This is one thing that is going to be the most fun thing, right? I'm going to have 50 rods going that way and 250 screws that way. Screws, not too much of a problem. I've also been thinking, like, I am making screws right now. 2 of these guys are pooping out screws. And I'm like, why? Is it just because, you know, to fill up this container? So what I might end up doing is maximize those 2 out in order to get 250 screws plus a little bit extra for the container, right? But let's first start off with 50 extra rods. Now I've been doing a little bit off camera already. Basically what I've been doing right down here is I connected this guy up because he was already here, connected up there, and I've been using the first smart splitter. It was actually fun to think about it. Like, first I was like, okay, I'm going to need to have 50 rods continuously going that way. How am I going to do that? If it splits up, you know, it messes with my brain way too much. Then I was like, okay, let's just use a smart splitter and let's see how it works, right? So let's just take a little look. So output priority, it will just send everything that way. Just keep it sending until the conveyor belt is too full. If there is something left over, send it to the other side, the overflow, to the container and the sink. Super duper handy system. It is, you know, it didn't take me long to understand this guy. So right now what I can do is make a conveyor belt going this way into the sky, to say up and over, and then have it going through the wall, which we can take a look together for a second here. And it will come into this back alley where we can just send it out to the factory. Super simple. Without this smart splitter system, I need to do a lot of thinking, and that's not something I'm good at. So anyway, so what are these guys doing right down here? I'm pretty sure I could, you know, optimize it way better than I have right now. But I got 2 of these guys pooping out 15 per minute, which is just 30, right? Then this guy, so I need 20 more. This guy is pooping 22 per minute, which basically means that the conveyor belt towards the motor assembly will be full at some point, and then it has 2 extra that can be sent to the container. I think that is, you know, just enough. It's not too much, it's not too less. Of course, later on I can just crank this guy up. Why is that blue? You see that? I've never seen that before. Right, red is no power, green is turned on. That just means like there is overclocking color. I guess that is overclock color. That's fine. So you can see what is overclocked and what not. And so, ladies and gentlemen, long story short, I got the rod and I got the screws all the way out here. All I have to do is connect them up to these guys, and then we can just start producing motors. But I made a small little reminder for myself. I thought this is actually very handy to, you know, place a little sign that shows how much I'm using right now for the next time. I know these conveyor belts can handle what, 270, so I got plenty more to go to put on this conveyor belt before I need to start making another one. And I just decided, you know, let's just leave this guy on 240 because why not, right? So this way I always have enough. And also just want to say, I'm not quite sure if I play this game the correct way. Maybe I'm making it myself a little bit more difficult by, you know, making a design like this where I just have to specifically place part by part into a specific building to get it somewhere. I have to puzzle a lot, think about how I'm going to bring it somewhere to not make it, you know, too much of a spaghetti. But I would say, you know, if it's getting too complicated for myself, I just take a little break, think about what I have, what I need, how am I going to do it, and then things actually solve by itself. Certain things don't look pretty because it's like unplanned stuff, like should I have gone first to the wall and then go up to go there? I'm not quite sure. Ah, interesting. I felt like it was a bit like a weird mirror, blurred window type of deal. Anyways, to not get too distracted, it just does, you know, the same like it did before. The only thing that I have changed is where the screws come out here, I've added a smart splitter. Just sends up everything to this guy. Overflow will be sent that way. For now, this system works. I also have in mind if I need to have another screw assembly somewhere, I can just keep doing the same. Like, just keep pumping those screws. It can only use a couple. Anything else will be sent that way. I can make another smart splitter to whatever assembly where I also need screws. For now, it will work. I'm not sure for how long though. So yeah, in this case, what I should be doing is not yet connected up to that one. It doesn't go anywhere outside. But what I'm going to do is add a sink. Anything else in this factory will be... Yes, what will be? Well, I wanted to say the only thing that will be built in this factory are motors anyways. And since I don't need more than this, yeah, I could just place it down here for now. Well, let's connect that up. I believe this stuff is going to give me plenty of coupons. The basic here is done, right? We now have this assembled. It's going to be super easy to just transform this into something a little more useful. We now have these rotors, which we're making motors. Making 5 per minute, which is not a lot. Oh, but it does the job, I guess. And what I can do to add a little more boost to this whole show is just... you know, put a whole stack of that in there. And then, are you having a nice song there, buddy? You're looking for a bitch. Ain't no bitches around me than me. Anyways, yeah, so we're now getting a little bit extra coupons. Just going to let this roll. And, yeah, like I said, I can give it a chance. And maybe what I will end up doing is, very maybe, just a tiny little maybe, very tiny, is that I will connect it up to the storage area, and I'm thinking of it. It might be nice to, for whatever reason, I need a little bit behind the hand. What is he saying? Behind the hand. I'm not sure. I don't really see anything just yet that need that stuff. Except for this guy, but how many explorers do you need, right? Alright, next thing, reinforce iron plating, right? By the way, between the last episode and this episode, I added in one hard drive into this this research thing behind me. I made this guy, or I got this guy from the 3 options, which sounded like the best to do. I want to make this stuff, which basically means I'm going to need to crank up the screw production, and I'm going to need to use some plating. Now the best thing about plating is that plating is not connected up to anything just yet, any other than storage area. So that's very good. This guy is completely filled up. And also let me see, like, that's a nice amount of plating coming out. Yeah, I guess a nice amount is coming out. Okay. Alright, so in this case, where in the world am I going to put the reinforced plating? Now I'm thinking about it. I actually have a bit of a space left on the other side of this white building. And I've been saying, oh, I want to use it for that stuff over there. But I can always make a factory on the other side for that. I don't have to per se place it here. I guess the first thing I need is... the first thing priority to build, right? I like a small little space out here, which is very nice because I can fill in the blank down here. And I'm looking at it, that window there is in the way. Nicest thing is now this and do that. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And I'm thinking of it. I am probably going to need to have a lot more reinforced plating, right? So let me just dump this thing here. This no, this doesn't need it. This stuff needs like the modular frame. Modular frame needs 3 per minute. This guy makes 15 per minute, so yep. Well, it seems like our reinforced plating is now a thing. So I'm going to show you around, and at some point I also just about realized that I made a horrible mistake regarding to making the rotors and the motors, because for some reason, I don't know why, but I recalculated the wrong screw assembly, because both machines right now are pooping out 70 screws, and that's not 250 together. Because I was wondering, why am I not getting any overflow screw right over there. So I got a lot of things to set straight. Real to say, it becomes more and more, you know, of a complicated spaghetti. But I'm going to try to do my best to, you know, set everything right and make it work again. And this game kind of reminds me a little bit, if it's about needing to upgrade off the game RimWorld. Like in RimWorld, you start with a small base. It's just at the point the small base is about to be finished, you're already going to need to upgrade the small base to medium base, and once you're busy with medium base, you're already going to need to upgrade it to a large base, and so on and so on. You're just changing and changing and changing, and I kind of feel it right now too. I don't have to, you know, to say change this whole big project because I got a lot of space. It's just that things become more and more complicated if it's about like I'm going to need to add in a new assembly line. How much stuff am I going to need? Where I'm going to pull it from? I also noticed with the screws, which I'm going to show in a second, for the reinforced plating, I cannot put it into the screw building because the Mark III is transporting maximum 270 screws. I already need 250 screws for the motor, which at this moment I need to change because it's not the right number. Then on top of that, I'm also going to need to have 250 screws for the reinforced plating, which basically means I have to set up a screw assembly line onto the second floor of the screw factory, which if I do that, and I'm going to have even more screws after that, I'm going to set up a third floor, and it's going to be a mess because I got a lot of space on the first floor to set up multiply screw assemblies. The only problem is I'm going to need to have like a Mark IV or even a Mark V conveyor belt in order to transport all of these screws on one line, to say. So at this moment, this looks like this. It's, you know, hidden away, so I'll guess that is okay. So the screws are coming in onto the back, and the plating is coming onto the back. Like I said before, that is the kind of the idea that I wanted to create. You know, like having just these elevators on the back. I think that is also a fun thing to just see for the chains. And then at some point I can set up a couple more of these guys, and maybe I should add in a door down here. Now, like I said, the problem is I'm going to have 250 more screws on top of the 250 that I need, and which basically means 500 screws. Conveyor belt can only handle 270. So what I did for now is this will be gone later on once I can upgrade the assembly of the screws with higher conveyor belt. I just made a second miner near the Mark II miner I made the Mark I. I just got enough iron coming in from that all the way from the back up to here, getting melted into bars and then get made into screws. I got 2 times 250, so this guy is fine. And it comes out here, goes up around the corner, and then it connects up to the 4th window there, comes out here, goes nicely around there. And once you come in, is the way it is, right? It goes down here, goes in here, split up to there, and split up to there. Now, yeah, and at this point I actually noticed like, there's not a lot of stuff coming out here. Now I know for the plating it works. I got a little bit of plating. I don't need that much plating, and I got like storage area filled up with plating for now. Yeah, but the screws, no more screws coming, even though it's filled up. It just, you know, the moment I noticed something is wrong with the whole assembly line. Now the rods are still working gladly, plating is working, reinforced plating is working. I don't need that much anyway, so I got some stuff to do. I'm going to need to make things look pretty. If it's about the motor factory, I'm going to need to fix the whole screw factory and have the right amount of screw coming out, plus a little bit extra for the storage area, which now I'm wondering, can I even do it with the recipe that I got right now? Because let me just place this thing down. I'm now using this one, right? I need rods, so I could say sure, let's do this one, but I'm gonna get a problem because this uses iron ingots, which means I have to reinvent the whole system down here, which is a little bit of a problem though. I might have another problem. Well, let me just see something here. Now we're at it. It becomes a little bit of a mess. I don't like it. So what I need is 125 out here. 100. Okay, it is exactly this whole thing filled up. But for now, let me just keep it on 70 because I'm going to calculate everything through all of these machines in order to have the right amount and have the Mark II work optimal, because if I need more than the thing can produce, I'm going to have another problem. That's not the only thing that I'm slowly facing the problem of, you know, keeping things in line. Slowly but surely, the power is going to need to be, you know, have another boost. Now, making another dam is not going to be a problem. It's, I think, going to be a nice episode. So I have been thinking what I would like to do is for the next episode, I'm going to need to get my butt to work if it's about the other 3 basic materials. So we're going to have copper wire setup, normal wire setup, and probably copper sheeting, which basically means we're going to need to make some nice buildings, set up a simple assembly line for that, just some basic things. And yeah, we have here a lot of space, right? We can make here like one building, we can make on the other side another building. We actually have, I believe, oh yeah, we also have that stuff. I believe this assembly line was being used for sheets, copper sheets. Of course, I have that copper mine over there for cables and that kind of a deal. So yeah, I think that's for the best for the next episode and the one after that, to just focus on doing the last basic materials. Meanwhile, I'm going to take care of everything is going to be tweaked. I'm up to date, that I'm going to make things look pretty. And then maybe the 3rd episode from this point, we might going to expand the dam, but I want to make it look a little bit different, want to make it look pretty. So if you have any ideas for that, or even these buildings down here, which I should, like, what should I combine, or maybe some other ideas that I can do, then just let me know down below in the comment section. And I hope things are still being clear for you guys what I am doing, if it still makes sense what I'm doing, or maybe you already lost the overview of what I'm doing. Just let me know in the comment section if it's still good. Do I need to show something? Do I need to make like a little tour video of showing what goes where? Or maybe it is all set, and then yeah, we're just going to enjoy upgrading this big project. All right. Whew. So I am on 234 raw iron. Which basically means I have slash is just lesser than 40 raw iron left from this guy.